it's all going to zero against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yeah, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Cover breaking news, culture, dramatic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Today's going to be a very interesting episode. Record inflows going into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. They are in the top 10 out of all ETFs. That's how interested people are in Bitcoin. If you combine both BlackRock and Fidelity, they now hold 137,000 Bitcoin. That number continues to update every single day. Yesterday, we told you that BlackRock had 73,000 Bitcoin. Today, they have 75,000 Bitcoin. So from the institutional side, it seems to appear that people continue to stack. Also on the news segment, we're going to talk about Jay Powell saying the quiet part out loud, saying that the current way the U.S. government is spending is unsustainable in the long term. But I mean, I just don't think a lot of these people in Congress care. I think if you're 75, 80 years old and you've benefited from this system, I just don't think you care. I think you're going to milk it, even if that means it, burns down 10, 20 years from now. We're going to take a look at the debt clock. But while all of this is happening, there is a lifeboat, and that lifeboat is Bitcoin. Also, in the culture segment, we have a very special guest. We have Scott himself. Build a Mine Bootcamp, and we're going to talk about Scott's Build a Mine Bootcamp. So really, really excited for that. And of course, Nary co-host,
awesome,
who is not optimistic today. That was just like a straight face. Of
sorry,
course.
I'm blind over here. I don't know. I didn't clean my glasses this morning. I can't see anything. Now, what's up, guys? How you doing? Good to be here. Good
Get
to be
pumped
here.
up.
You gotta raise that energy, Opti. What's going on, bro?
Wow.
Come on.
Oh,
Let's
wow.
go.
Mika's yelling at me to raise energy. Yeah. Hey, you know how it is. I guess I just need some just to get me pumped up. Yeah, man, it's good. Life's great. I don't, with everything going on in clown world, just being a Bitcoiner. Life's so good. I find it incredible that so many people are so pissed off on Bitcoin Twitter. Like, everything's great when you're a Bitcoiner. Life is so good. Everything is falling apart around us, but us Bitcoiners are building a better world. So it's great. Life's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Is that true, Scott? As a not only a Bitcoiner, but as a Bitcoin miner, is life good right now?
Life is good. Life might not be good for Bitcoin miners for the rest of 2024 after the Bitcoin reward halving, but I think people are in it for the long run, and they're in it to stack cheaper sats faster through mining. So that's what we're all here for today.
Absolutely. And that's something that a lot of people are not aware of, right? And that's something that a lot of people they see that as a mountain that's very, very difficult to climb, and that's something that you show personally. It's not that difficult. You've made all the mistakes to show people that they don't have to make the mistakes that you've made in your long and painful journey of Bitcoin mining. It has such a steep learning curve. Yeah.
No, that's what I do. I in everything I do, I buy the top and sell the bottom. And I help people to learn from my mistakes. So,
well, I think there's a theme there that I think we all as Bitcoiners have made all the mistakes, and we just somehow survived it. And this is why we come out here all the time and try to help the new entrants into this space not get as wrecked as we did. And hopefully their transition is easier.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
All you got to do is just stay humble, stack sats, mine some Bitcoin with Scott's Build a Mine Bootcamp. And that's it. Everything just works out for you guys. All right. No more delay. Let's jump straight into the numbers. We got a lot to talk about. But before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to our flagship sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about the Bitcoin Well by Real Bitcoin. Bitcoin Well self-custody. It's a self-custody Bitcoin platform on a mission to enable independence. They're the first Bitcoin on-ramp in the United States to enable self-custody by default. That's right. They need to see that you're taking self-custody before you can even buy Bitcoin. So guys, check out the Bitcoin Well. They also want for you to be a part of the process of building out this platform in the United States. Go check them out. bitcoinwell.com. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers. We have a lot to talk about.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, guys, I made it incredibly easy for you guys. You can literally scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you directly to the Stamp Seed website where you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their website. Don't put yourself in a position where you have to explain to your grandchildren why you lost your Bitcoin. Store your seed phrase on titanium. Get Stamp Seed today. Promo code SIMPLY. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 43,250 sats per dollar, 2,312. Block height, 829,235. Blocks to halving, 10,765. Halving estimate, April 19, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,923 Bitcoin. Capacity value, $212 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation, 1.75%. The market capitalization of Bitcoin, $848 billion. That's billion to be. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 6.15%. In the grand scheme of things, Bitcoin is just getting started. This number is going to continue to go up, and when it passes 100%, Peter Schiff is not going to be very, very happy. Anyways, I do want to talk about quick update on the spot Bitcoin ETFs. This was yesterday's post. But if you combine both BlackRock and Fidelity, they now own a combined, not 134, that was yesterday, 137,000 Bitcoin. Here's a website, Bitcoin Treasuries, made by CoinKite. And it breaks down how big these ETFs are. Still, the big daddy is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, but it seems a lot of people are dumping that in search for other ETFs that provide more favorable fees. So the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, this is a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin, 474,000 Bitcoin, almost 500,000 Bitcoin. The BlackRock Spot Bitcoin ETF now holds 75,000 Bitcoin. Fidelity now owns 62,787 Bitcoin. So in the grand scheme of things, holy cow. I mean, there's just not enough Bitcoin to go around. And here's this great breakdown, also graphic, and kind of shows who holds what. Of course, in terms of public companies, MicroStrategy's the big daddy, holding 189,000 Bitcoin, followed up by Marathon, 15,000 Bitcoin, followed up by Elon Musk, Tesla, 9,720 Bitcoin, followed up by Coinbase, 9,480 Bitcoin. Private companies, we have Block One, 164,000. There's still 141,000 Bitcoin with Mt. Gox. Tether holds 66,000. BitMEX, 57,000. Zappo, 38,000. And in terms of countries, right, we have the United States with 215,000 Bitcoin. We have China, 190,000 Bitcoin. The United Kingdom with 61,000 Bitcoin. Germany with 50,000 Bitcoin. And of course, the ETFs, which I've already kind of broken down for you guys. And the DeFi, there's even DeFi included in here. Wrapped Bitcoin, 157,000. But just to kind of give you an idea of how much inflows this is compared to, the traditional ETFs, I think it's really, really exciting stuff. Obviously, there's a tremendous amount of institutional interest. The halving is around the corner. But how does this compare to the S&P 500 index? How does this compare to other very popular indexes? Well, you'd be surprised. It has now broken into the top 10, and I suspect it's going to go into the top 5 very soon. So check out this article from Cointelegraph. The headline for audio listeners is BlackRock and Fidelity Bitcoin ETFs reach top 10 in January flows. It goes on to say BlackRock and Fidelity spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds have ranked among ETFs with the largest January inflows, totaling around 4.8 billion US dollars. BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust has an estimated 2.6 billion in net flows, reaching 8th place, while Fidelity's Wise Origin Bitcoin ETF landed 10th place with 2.2 billion in inflows. The United States is home to over 3,100 ETFs as of December 31st, 2023. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, out of all those ETF, 3,100 ETFs, the spot Bitcoin ETFs are now in the top 10. Here's a breakdown compared to everyone else. In first place, you have I believe this is a BlackRock also because it's iShares. You have the spot S&P 500 ETF as number 1. Vanguard also S&P 500. Then you have Invesco, the QQQ Trust. You have another S&P 500. Then you have investment grade corporate bonds ETF. And then you have a BlackRock US Equity Factor ETF. Then you have a Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. And then, of course, in 8th place, you have a spot Bitcoin ETF. That's the BlackRock one. And then in 10th place, you have the Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin ETF. So, I mean, if this is not a testament to the institutional interest in Bitcoin, I don't know what is. I think it speaks for itself, the amount of institutional demand, the amount of institutional interest. It looks like, I'm going to say it, and I have a lot of boomer friends and a lot of Bitcoin boomers. It seems like a lot of Bitcoin boomers are very, very interested in buying Bitcoin, and I think the numbers definitely highlight that. So this is very, very interesting stuff, guys. But I got to remind everybody, the revolution, the Bitcoin revolution is not ETFs. It is people buying, earning, mining Bitcoin and putting that sweet, sweet Bitcoin into self-custody, into cold storage. That's how we win this thing. If not, it's just a distraction. Anyways, that's my take. I want to pass it on to Scott, and then we hit Opti.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how we win it. My experience in this industry is through Bitcoin mining, and really, the thing I preach every day is this is how you stack more sats faster and cheaper. Typically you can mine a Bitcoin cheaper than you can buy it. Obviously, depending on what your situation is, what your power rate is, your geopolitical affiliations and whatnot, but there's small scale and big scale. But yeah, it's a way to freedom, mining Bitcoin, and like you were saying, those ETFs, they're just a vehicle. It's not the true way I would like to see it happening, but it's definitely leading to adoption, and adoption is good. So yeah, I'm really pumped up to be here today.
Adoption is good. That's the signal right there. Adoption is good. It's a vehicle. Remember, guys, spot Bitcoin ETFs are captured Bitcoin. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on all this?
Yeah, I mean, on the first, on one hand, it makes me feel good that there's that much demand for Bitcoin, even though it isn't a spot Bitcoin ETF, even though it is in paper Bitcoin, as far as I'm concerned. It makes me feel good that people want Bitcoin. People at least want that price exposure to Bitcoin. On the other hand, I don't know, I'm starting to get nervous. They're scooping up way too much Bitcoin, and I know that Bitcoin can withstand it, but man, they're just starting to hold so much Bitcoin. If you connect how much Bitcoin the ETFs have, the BlackRock one, Fidelity, GBTC, even like the Mt. Gox holdings, MicroStrategy, the DOJ confiscated coin, these institutions are starting to scoop up a lot of Bitcoin. And I think we are going to see in the future an inevitable clash here where the paper Bitcoin and the hodled Bitcoin we're going to see who's really holding Bitcoin. And I think this is just an interesting point and an interesting cross in the road. But man, it just goes to show that there is pent up demand for Bitcoin. And as much as Wall Street has been fighting us for years, now they've just been flooding you so that they can stack some cheap Bitcoin. So I think this next year, rather the next year or two, as we believe the price is going to go up, we're going to see even more demand for Bitcoin. And I think the fight for the heart of Bitcoin is really going to heat up. And this is why we tell you guys every single day that you should be taking Bitcoin into custody. And I get it, if you have a 401k and you want exposure to Bitcoin, then of course you should probably go into a spot Bitcoin ETF. You'll probably get better returns. But hopefully this demand for a spot Bitcoin ETF eventually leads people to actually holding Bitcoin and proliferating the peer-to-peer economy that will be Bitcoin. So I think this is just part of the early innings of, Wall Street trying to corral and stifle Bitcoin. But we'll see how this plays out. I just find it very, very interesting that we've had such a great launch of a spot Bitcoin ETF. It's what you say, Nico. It's like what, as of now, the 5th most successful ETF launch ever.
No. It was the most successful ETF launch ever. That's not my words. It's according to the talking heads on the legacy media. And not to mention the fact that, look, after a couple days, you saw the data there, right? 3,100 ETFs in the United States, and you have the spot Bitcoin ETF already in 8th place, the BlackRock one, and then the Fidelity one in 10th place. I mean, if that is not, signaling demand, and we're not even in the bull market yet, like that thing's gonna take. Could you imagine the signing of that? If and when that becomes the top place, like the top contender, like it passes the S&P 500, and it's like the most popular ETF in the US. I mean, I think the US government would freak the F out at that point. I think they would, they would lose it, man. I don't know if they would be able to handle it. Anyways, what's your take on it?
Well, Nico, yeah, it kind of just goes to show that I hate using the term, smart and dumb money, but when we say smart money, we usually think of Wall Street and the best asset managers in the world. And it just kind of goes to show that the people with money are looking at the same landscape that we are, and they are looking for a way to diversify out of the traditional financial system. And I mean, Saylor's been saying it for years now that if you are holding dollars, you are holding melting ice cubes. And so I think we are starting to see a trend that, again, smart money in quotations, the smart money is looking for ways to diversify outside of the traditional financial system. Like we are looking at a potential crossroad of systemic diversification. Shouts out to CJ, who's been saying that for a while now, that people are looking for alternatives. And if you have all your eggs in one basket, aka the traditional financial system, you may find yourself in hot water. Now people are looking to diversify outside of the system, which of course is Bitcoin. So, man, say what you want, but the game is heating up right now. And I hate using the smart money meme, but the smart money are seeing the same thing we're seeing. And if this much interest is going into Bitcoin, it just goes to show that behind the scenes, they're probably seeing what we're seeing every single day. Like, yo, things are messed up. And we're going into this clip right now with Jerome Powell, saying what we've been saying on this show for a long time. Like, things are really messed up and you can't keep going down this path. And people are waking up to this.
100%. Yeah, man, it's getting pretty crazy. Wall Street can't resist Bitcoin's incentives. The boomers, which hold the lion's share of the world's wealth, they can't resist Bitcoin's incentives, and this is precisely why Bitcoin's gonna win. Even we covered an article I think it was like a week ago or so, on a couple episodes ago, but essentially where the Chinese stock market was plummeting, and it literally said, like, even in communist China, even living in one of the most totalitarian governments in the world, people were fleeing to Bitcoin, as a store of value, right? They still wanted to get their hands on Satoshis, even though it was completely illegal. And I think that's a testament to Bitcoin's incentives. And I think heading into this next bull market, I wouldn't be surprised, I'm saying it right now, if the spot Bitcoin ETFs take the top spot or the second spot or the third spot, overtaking the S&P 500. And I mean, this is what Michael Saylor has been touting from the rooftops for a while now. So it looks like Michael Saylor's Bitcoin strategy at MicroStrategy is the winning strategy. All right, everybody, let's hit the news. We have a lot to talk about today. Let's check it out. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor. Have you ever wanted to get into Bitcoin mining and don't know where to start? That's why I want to introduce you to Scott's Build a Mine Bootcamp. He will show you how to build your own Bitcoin mine, how to get the project funded, how to get your facility filled with miners as quickly as possible. With a little luck, and by putting all his techniques and strategies to work that he's developed mining Bitcoin for the last 6 years, you could be mining 5 million Satoshis per day or 0.05 Bitcoin in less than 3 months. On the free webinar, he will give you a high-level roadmap that will help you get on your way to building, owning, and operating your own Bitcoin mining farm. Begin your mining journey today. Register for the free webinar now. Click the link in the description of the video below or contact Scott directly on Telegram using his handle @OfferedScott and learn how to mine those precious Satoshis.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. All right, everybody, you have absolutely no excuse. There's a QR code on your screen right now. It'll take you directly to Scott's Build a Mine Bootcamp. It's a free webinar. All you got to do is sign up. You could scan the QR code. You have no excuse. And also check out Passport by Foundation Devices. Remember, guys, not your keys, not your cheese. That's why you want to get yourself a hardware wallet. And of course, we recommend our sponsor, Passport by Foundation Devices. So scan the QR code right now. Anyways, this is crazy. This is nuts. They're even starting to say the choir part out loud, which is absolutely bonkers. Here's the Chad Saylor himself. If you're not worried, you don't need Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, I think that speaks for itself. I think this is a very, like, this, I don't even know. Things must have been so bad that, you know, he had to say the choir part out loud, which is just absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to play you guys the clip. This is from 60 Minutes. Imagine telling the entire country this. This is the head of the Federal Reserve. This is Jerome Powell. If he's saying this type of thing, imagine how bad things are in the background. Anyways, let's check it out.
The U.S. is on an unsustainable fiscal path. The U.S. federal government's on an unsustainable fiscal path. And that just means that the debt is growing faster than the economy.
I have the sense this worries you very much.
Over the long run, of course it does. You know, we're borrowing from future generations. It's time for us to get back to putting a priority on fiscal sustainability. And sooner is better than later.
I don't think they can. Like, they just announced that they want to send another $60 billion to Ukraine. Not to mention on top of the already $133 billion that they've already sent. Like, I don't think they can help themselves. And if you take a look at this from a historical perspective, this goes back all the way to 1966. It's really never been as high. This is the total public debt as a percent of the GDP, and it continues to rise. And every time they print money, this is what happens. It just goes up. But take a look at this hockey stick and even compare that to the 2008. That's when the QE experiment really started happening. But take a look at this. And you're trying to tell me that's sustainable. But I mean, if you take a look at the debt clock, I think it tells an even different story, right? because it really, really kind of shows, how crazy things are. So if you go look at U.S. unfunded liabilities, that's $212 trillion. That's trillion with the T, by the way. That's absolutely absurd. That would basically make it so that there's $632,000. That's liability per citizen. Medicare, $40 trillion. Social Security, $26 trillion. And keep in mind that the U.S. economy, the GDP itself, is $34 trillion. Just to kind of give you an idea. So, and of course, you guys know that we love memes at Simply Bitcoin. Here it is, right? Here's the Titanic. And you see these lifeboats? This is Bitcoin, right? So what do you want to do? Do you just kind of want to sit and, sit on your hands and do nothing, like Michael Saylor is saying? If you're not worried, you don't need Bitcoin. Or do you want to get on the lifeboat? Because that's what Bitcoin represents, even with all of this going on. Here's Samson Mao. We had him on Simply Bitcoin IRL the other day. And he goes on to say the only way out of a debt spiral is to move to a harder money, which is Bitcoin. This only works for the nation states that act quickly. Laggards won't be able to escape the spiral. GDP cannot keep up with spending and debt service. The game is up. And that's essentially what's happening. And it's getting so dire that the head of the Federal Reserve is even admitting that we cannot continue spending money we don't have. And just to kind of break it down in the most simplistic sense, right? Because essentially when they print money, it's not just printing money. They have to pay interest to quote unquote the money that was borrowed, right? We're going to get to a point where the interest payments alone are going to be unpayable. Not even Social Security, not even all the other liabilities, just the mere interest payments we won't be able to afford. And then what is that doing to the future generations? You want to know why you're poorer than your parents? You want to know why you can't afford a house, specifically if you're a millennial or you're a Gen Zer and you're not on a Bitcoin standard by now for whatever reason? This is why. They're literally stealing your time, your energy, your work. This is the consequences of that. And it's getting so dire they can't sleep, they can't sweep it under the rug. I mean, they're going to try. You see, the current administration with all the propaganda in terms of, Thanksgiving has gotten cheaper. Inflation has actually slowed down. Why have prices not gone down too? Right. So they're obviously throwing it out there. It's just not working anymore. The sticker shock does not lie. Right. However, and here's the hope, right? This is why, Corey wrote a piece called The Bright Orange Future. The hope is Bitcoin. Even with all this insanity going on, which is why I showed you the picture of the Titanic sinking and the lifeboats. Even with all the insanity going on, if you've been saving in Bitcoin, life has gotten cheaper. The dollar has gotten 92% cheaper over 5 years. Oil has gotten 85% cheaper. Gold has gotten 84% cheaper. The S&P 500, which is very interesting when you pull this up, right? It kind of tells the story. The ETF has only been live for 17 days. It's already in the top 10 out of 3,100 ETFs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to take the top spot after people start to figure this out. And of course, even a house has gotten 78% cheaper if you've been saving on a Bitcoin standard. And Wall Street is starting to wake up to this. Are you going to wake up to this? Are you going to join the orange life raft? Because clearly, even Jerome Powell himself is telling you that the Titanic is sinking. So are you going to, sit on your hands or do nothing? Or are you going to take action? And when I mean take action, this also includes your friends and family as well, right? If for whatever reason they've been living in the fiat matrix for their entire lives and they just don't know, be that Uncle Jim. I did that with my parents. My parents have been hardcore Bitcoiners since 2016. Maybe in the first 2 or 3 years, they're like, Nico, you're absolute batshit. And then number go up technology does its thing. And they're like, then they become Bitcoiners. So yes, be the Uncle Jim in your family. Walk. Tell your friends and family. Tell your parents. Tell your brothers. Tell your sisters. Tell your mothers. You have absolutely no excuse as to why your friends and family go down with the Titanic. They have you. They have you to show them the lifeboat. And that includes, showing them how to take self-custody, showing them how to buy Bitcoin, earn Bitcoin, mine Bitcoin. There's absolutely no reason as to why, your friends, your family should be affected by the mismanagement and the absolute irresponsibility of, the controllers of money. You have no reason to be affected by this anymore now that there's a technology that exists that protects you, your wealth, your time, your energy, and of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on all this, brother?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've gotten to the point now where even Jerome Powell is telling the truth, and that has to be a signal to anyone paying attention that things are incredibly bad. I mean, I was watching the breakup with Nolan this morning. I absolutely love it. Highly recommend it. I love his takes and his insights. And he's all like, yeah, Jerome Powell sounds like a hostage, and he's like telling you the truth, like wink, wink. I want to tell you the truth, but I can't actually tell you the truth. And I mean, we've been saying this on Simply Bitcoin for a long time. If you've been part of Bitcoin Twitter, you've heard this same narrative for a long time. As Greg Foss always says, it's 11th grade math. They have to keep printing money. I mean, we've been saying as Bitcoiners for, years now that the amount of money they are printing, they have to keep printing, and they are literally stealing from future generations. And now Jay Powell is literally saying Bitcoin memes. He's saying that the only way out of this is fiscal responsibility. And we know that that is obviously not a politically viable solution because no one out there is going to vote for basically cutting themselves off of, their Medicare, their Medicaid, all of the things that they were promised as Americans. And so the only real way out of this is for them to continue to print, for them to continue to kick the can down the road and essentially gaslight the population into still trusting the academics and the experts. And we're seeing that even they are saying like, yo, we cannot print this much money. And then also, Nico, did you see that yesterday? I know Janet Yellen's like in a hearing right now currently, but yesterday Janet Yellen was in another hearing and she said, I might butcher this, but she basically said like inflation is not a concern of economics or something. Or no, inflation is not a sign of economic decline. And I think Weimar Republic would like a call with Janet Yellen because it just goes to show that the amount of money that they're printing is not sustainable as long as we're going down this path. Normal people are going to get hurt. And even the biggest institutions in the world are probably going to get hurt if they don't find a solution. Hence why I think we're seeing so much demand for spot Bitcoin ETF because people are looking for ways to diversify outside of the traditional financial system. So we're getting into a very, very peculiar situation where everyone knows that they have to keep printing money. Everyone knows that they can't keep printing more money. And everyone is just hoping that they can kick the can down the road. And as an individual, as someone that has completely opted out of the financial system, as someone that no longer wants to hold dollars, I have a very real concern for individuals out there. I don't really care about the institutions. I think they'll figure out a way to kick the can down the road. But that just means that individuals, everyday people, are going to get absolutely wrecked.
I think you misunderstood what he's saying. He's saying that ladies and gentlemen, we're running out of road to kick the can down.
Yeah, I know. But that's the point.
He's saying like there is no more road to kick the can down.
I know.
Like, look, if he like just to kind of give you guys an idea, if it's him saying that, things are 100 times worse than what they are.
Of course.
Because he wouldn't say that, right, on national TV on 60 Minutes if he wasn't like, holy shit, maybe this isn't going to end very nice. This isn't going to end very well.
Newsflash,
right?
It's not going to end well.
So, yeah, I mean, look, again, and if the ship goes down, that sucks. And a lot of people are going to get hurt for sure, right? And it's not their fault. That's another thing that I want to add. However, there is a solution to this. There's an individual solution to this. You can opt out entirely and opt out into Bitcoin, of course. Anyway, Scott, what's your take on all this, man? Are you seeing the Titanic sinking? I saw you laughing when we played that clip, man. So you obviously feel a certain way about it.
Yeah. No, it's just funny. One thing about the Titanic is that there weren't enough lifeboats, and I think that's the same for Bitcoin itself. There's a limited number of Bitcoin. There always will be, never will be more. And it's just a perfect meme. I think I'm going to use it as my new wallpaper. Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to touch on that part where there's a limited amount of lifeboats. Absolutely. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. There's a stat, right, where there's, it's roughly estimated that there's between 60 to 70 million millionaires all around the world. If just the millionaires alone wanted to get their hands on one Bitcoin, they physically could not. There's not enough Bitcoin to go around. This is why the spot Bitcoin ETF is already in the top 10 out of 3,100. Wall Street is figuring it out. Are you going to let Wall Street take your slot? Are you going to let Wall Street beat you in the race? You've had a 15-year head start, right? The ETF has only been live for 17 days. Look at how well it's performed so far. Are you really going to get caught, with your pants down? That's the reality, right? So don't sell your Bitcoin to Wall Street. Don't get left behind. Don't get stuck on the Titanic. Get on the orange life raft. Save yourself, save your family.
You know what this just means? It means number will have to go up, guys. Number will have to go up.
Number will have to go up. All right, guys, no more delay. Let's jump straight into the culture. We're going to talk about Scott's Build and Mine Bootcamp. Before we do that, I do want to give a very special shout out to our sponsors. First up, we got Bitcoin Evangelism, guys. We have 10 million people to Orange Pill. Bitcoin Evangelism by Brian DeMint is a excellent resource for orange pilling no coiners and altcoiners alike. This is a book for Bitcoiners who know Bitcoin but have a hard time explaining it to their friends. It's a book for Bitcoiners who are trying to explain Bitcoin only to altcoiners. It's available on Amazon right now. Get yourself a copy of Bitcoin Evangelism, Planting Seeds for the Decentralized Revolution. All right, everybody, let's get to the culture. We have a lot to talk about.
The Daily Culture.
Guys, I also want to give a shout out to Kaboom Rex, the most trusted place to buy, sell, and host mining equipment. If you haven't already done so, scan the QR code on your screen right now. You can check out their Telegram marketplace. Connect with a member of their sales team. They make purchasing their products easy and transparent. You could also sell your mining equipment with them, access their vast network of domestic and international customers when you sell your mining equipment with them. What are you waiting for? Check out Kaboom Rex today. All right, Scott, for someone who doesn't want to host, someone who wants to build their own mining operation, tell us more about Scott's Build a Mine Bootcamp.
Yeah, so the bootcamp, it's really just made for Bitcoin entrepreneurs who want to stack more sats faster and cheaper. So yeah, you're showing it on screen there. We actually just had.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna stop. Friday. I'm gonna stop. But Scott, I'm going to stop you right there because you buried the lead in the beginning, right? Which is for Bitcoin entrepreneurs that want to buy Bitcoin cheaper and faster. What do you mean by that? That's a very strong statement.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I mean by that, and what you've been talking about a little bit earlier today in the show is that Bitcoin is scarce. It's going to be becoming more scarce. At least it's going to feel more scarce. And for example, in the next couple months, what's coming up is the Bitcoin reward halving. That's going to make it half as profitable to mine. But still, in the long run, if you do this in the proper scale and if you do it with the right people, I'm pretty sure that you can mine Bitcoin cheaper than what you can buy it for. That's the whole premise of why I do what I do with the Build a Mine Bootcamp.
Awesome. And then kind of explain that, because I think a lot of people don't understand. So by mining Bitcoin yourself, you actually put yourself in a position where you're actually paying less than what you would get if you were to buy spot Bitcoin. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. So if you buy Bitcoin from an exchange, you're buying it at today's current price, for example, which is $43,000. Right. Typically, you can mine Bitcoin for cheaper than that. So once you factor in all of your power costs, the infrastructure that you have to create in order to plug the miners in, and all of these other factors, you consider all that. Those are your expenses, and you got your revenue. Your revenue is the Bitcoin that's actually being mined with your miners. You take the revenue and the expenses, like the electricity, and you take that off, and what you're left with is your profit, right? So typically that profit, it means that you can mine a Bitcoin for cheaper than you can buy it. I don't know if I'm making sense yet or not.
You are making perfect sense. And remember, guys, the whole mining industry is premised on this, right? It's premised on the idea that if you mine Bitcoin, you're actually acquiring it at a cheaper price than spot, because if not, mining would not make sense, right? So Scott, like, give me a ballpark estimate. So currently the Bitcoin price is at 43,152. If you were to mine a bit, if you were to learn how to mine, right, using Scott's Build a Mine Bootcamp, what would be your actual cost of acquiring Bitcoin? Last time I saw, it's between $25,000 to $29,000. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. Right now, at least for the next few months, that number is accurate. And it really depends on your scale, though. Like I was saying, if you're doing it from home in California, your power costs are going to be 20 cents, 25 cents. I don't know, maybe even 50 cents. I don't even know the numbers. And that's not going to be very profitable. It's going to be unprofitable, depending on what kind of miner you have plugged in, right? But typically in scale, if you multiply it out a little bit, maybe 50 Bitcoin miners, maybe 100 Bitcoin miners, 1,000 Bitcoin miners, really depending on how far you want to take it, you can get that cost down. There's different ways you can work with your utility to ask them for a lower price. You could sign a long-term contract with your power provider to lock in a really excellent price. That makes mining Bitcoin cheaper, which means you are stacking sats faster by mining instead of by buying it directly from the market at any given day, every day.
Gotcha. And you also, and also in the ad, right, which is you learn how to get the project funded, right? Because who's going to fund that? Who's going to, you tell them, hey, I have this idea, who's like, walk me through that. What's that about? And then also, this is a beginner friendly boot camp, right? Like, you can go from zero knowledge, you can enter this boot camp, and you'll come out on the other end, basically knowing how to build your own Bitcoin mine, right? Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So people who are maybe already passionate about Bitcoin make a good candidate to be an attendee. We do have the three different venues here. One is the 45-minute webinar, super intro, fundamentals. And then after that, we do have a paid program. It's a club that you can join where we actually mentor you on a monthly basis. The third one is our in-person boot camp right here in Milwaukee, in my hometown, where we do 3 days, super intensive. You learn everything you need to learn from start to finish in a very systematic manner. Everything you need to know to start mining Bitcoin on a large scale. So really, it is for anybody. There are some people who are, experts at finance. There's people who are expert at, electricity or the power utility. They might be an electrician, right? At Opti, I think you're in construction, so you have a certain skill set. My background is internet marketing, and I'm very technically savvy. So, I might not necessarily need to hire an IT guy myself to run my farm. But everybody has strengths, everybody has weaknesses. And through what I teach and through our community that we've built, there's really just, a community around you to address any weaknesses that you might have, and your strengths can really shine through. And that's what we do. We really try to help you to take what you have, work with it, and really take it to the next level and mine Bitcoin for cheaper than you can buy it faster.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And yeah, man. So Opti, could you pull up the site real quick? Yeah, awesome. Well, and guys, I made it extremely easy. You could scan the QR code right now. And Scott, you mentioned the webinar, the 45-minute webinar in the beginning. That is a free webinar, right? That introduction.
Right. Yeah. So if you actually, the QR code's great. You can also go to www. You have to put the 3 W's in there. www.build-a-mine.com/simply. So build-a-mine.com/simply. That will take you right to this landing page. Put your email in there, and we will let you know exactly when the next webinar is. The next webinar is coming up in about 3 weeks or so. We're going to give that to you. So put that in there. We'll invite you to our Telegram group that is very specific to building a mine. And then we will notify you by email about the exact date and time of the next webinar. So we actually just had one on Friday, like I was saying earlier. We had around, I'd say, 200 people express interest in joining. Of those 200 people, around 60 to 70 people actually showed up. That's awesome. For me, that's great. I'm really sorry that the other people didn't come. It's their loss, honestly. And I'm not being arrogant about it, but I really just think people need to learn about this stuff because Bitcoin is freedom, and Bitcoin mining is one way to get that freedom. So, yeah, it's a little bit about what I'm up to. So.
Yeah, and also just another thing, just a quick bit, right? A lot of people use Bitcoin as a user, right? But they don't really interact with the infrastructure behind Bitcoin. They don't fully appreciate it. A lot of people don't know this. I mean, if you've been watching Simply Bitcoin for a while, you do know this about me. But I actually got into the industry through Bitcoin mining. I transitioned to media in 2020, but from 2016 to 2020. I was a miner. That's what I did. That's what I dedicated my life to in the industry specifically. And I'm telling you, once you feel the heat and the noise and the infrastructure behind it and the beautiful, beautiful sound of, and especially when they first, the Bitmain machines, when they first power up, and they start to calm down a little bit. And
1,000 of those.
And 1,000 of those. And then for the first, couple seconds, you're not pointing it at your own pool. And then that Bitcoin's being pointed back to Bitmain. Wink, wink. Not to mention the software that's on the machines, right? So many things to discover. But yeah, it's, it's definitely something that is extremely rewarding. And it does have a high learning curve, but I definitely recommend everyone to dip their toes in this because then you'll fully appreciate Bitcoin. When you get that question, what is Bitcoin backed by? Now you're going to know. You're going to know exactly what it's backed by.
Yeah.
You're going to know that it's
so there's the demand side, right? And then there's a supply side. And I know you guys talk a lot about the demand side, which is people buying and selling Bitcoin. It's the tangible thing that Bitcoin does for everybody. You can sign up for services and product. You could buy products with Bitcoin, but the supply side of Bitcoin is really my world. It's what I've been doing for the last 6 years. And what I mean by supply side is, the actual Bitcoin being mined with these physical devices. These they call them application specific integrated chips that they put into a miner. Sometimes we refer to these things as ASICs or miners. Some people who don't really know much about Bitcoin call them servers. They don't really understand what it is, right? But another way to think about it is like there's people who have hundreds of thousands of these things in massive warehouses or data centers, right? And they have them plugged in all around the world. In a decentralized kind of a way, which is it really makes it so that Bitcoin operates very differently than the federal banking system or other fiat currencies. So that's just, I don't know. It's just the great thing about Bitcoin is that it is mined by miners and it's decentralized, and anybody can contribute to the hash power to make Bitcoin more secure. So mining Bitcoin and running nodes help to make Bitcoin more secure. And that's what I just really love about this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
And of course, a good way of getting KYC free sats, as everyone in the chat's talking about.
Yep, exactly. But don't tell the government about that.
All right, Scott, let's talk about this Build a Mine boot camp in Wisconsin. Do you have a time frame for this? Do you have a date, or is this just coming in the near future?
Yep, the date has been chosen. It is March 19th to the 21st right here. We're going to take you out to dinner, really fancy dinner. It's going to cost me probably more than $100 to $200 a head, but don't worry, that's on me. And then we're going to take you to a mining farm where, like Nico said, you can feel the wind of these ASIC miners blowing through your hair. You can feel the heat just parching your lips, and you can ask an actual Bitcoin mine operator and owner very specific questions that you might have. You might not even know what question you have at this point, but once you actually touch these things and feel them and lick your fingers and taste the dirt from these miners, you will find questions to ask them. So yeah, March 19th to 21st. But the best way to learn about the actual in-person boot camp is to first come to our webinar, or maybe just to join the monthly mentorship club. So our mentorship club is called the Mastermind Club, MINED. So, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're really looking forward to hosting some people here.
You can also blow out your eardrums, so be prepared for that one. But let's talk about the Mastermind Club a little bit. What exactly is it, and what are the people that involved? What do they receive?
Yeah, so the Mastermind Club really addresses a specific niche here. It's people who want to learn a little bit more on a daily basis. They want to benefit from the actual community that we've built. And they want to do very technical deep dives on everything that you need to know to build the mine and to operate it. Different things, like, for example, on this Thursday, we have one where it's a free webinar. Mostly they are webinars that are inside of our members only area that you pay for, but this one is going to be about HVAC. It's going to be about how to exhaust the heat and the air that these miners are producing and to keep them cool. So it's a very geeky, very in-depth technical topic deep dive. But those are the types of things that you're going to need to learn in order to be successful in building and operating your mine. So, not to really overwhelm anybody, or not to, allow people to think that this isn't for them. This is for you. And that's what, you just need to understand that you don't have to know specifically yourself, how to do every single aspect of it. You might need to know overall the overarching process behind this. But like I was saying earlier, there's electricians, there's IT guys, there's people that know money and economics, and it takes a team. It takes a village to raise a kid, or whatever the saying is. I don't even know how it goes, but same thing with us. We really try to pair people with certain skill sets with other people that have other strengths, and we try to make your Bitcoin mining dreams and Bitcoin project a success together.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys, you can scan the QR code and check the video description where you'll find a link, and you guys can go that way as well. So, anyways, Scott, thank you so much.
Wait, Nico. Before we go, last year we had
Opti going crazy.
Yeah, no. Last year we had the honor of doing the media at the mining conference. So,
That was insane. Yep.
Maybe let's talk about the mining conference again this year. Is it going to be in Rockdale again? What's going on there?
It will not. So yeah, right now, just to be perfectly transparent, I need a sponsor. I need an anchor tenant, I guess, to help make this happen. So 2023, we didn't have a conference. It was a bear market. I was bleeding out of all my orifices. And yeah, so in order to do this again, yeah, we're going to need to really lock it down financially. So I really do look forward to doing that. And I was thinking, maybe in Texas again, but yeah, it was a blast having you guys there in 2022.
That was 2 years ago already. Wow.
It was. Yeah. So the one event, we had DJ Paul Oakenfold. I'm kind of aging myself here, but in my era, Paul Oakenfold was the bomb. Yeah, I said bomb. Okay. I'm a little old here. Sorry guys, but yeah, we had 1,000 people come out, Bitcoin entrepreneurs, mining professionals, publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies, and even newbies who wanted to figure out where to start with Bitcoin mining. And yeah, you guys came out, you guys did your live stream right from the expo floor. And I think, I don't know, that might've been like one of your first events that you guys did a live stream at outside of your home studio, right?
That was the first.
Nice.
That was the first in person on the floor live stream for Simply Bitcoin. Yeah, like after we learned a lot, and we started doing a little bit bigger the conferences and doing the productions for it. But that was the genesis of it. That was because we would have never done the conferences if Opti and I had, because that's where we picked up the experience. And I remember when we got there, it was awesome because essentially it was just a glass table, right? It was just a glass divider. And then Opti and I were like, all right, we need a table, we need chairs, and pretend like we know what we're doing. So, and then
lights,
we put it together.
Cables running everywhere.
And then we put everything together, and then it worked out. And then we were like, holy crap, this is a good idea. So we had someone, Andy Garner. I was at that one, great event. So yeah, man, it was definitely good memories, good times, and yeah. But
yeah, so Scott, that was were you guys there when it was called the mining conference, or were you there when it was called Scott's mining conference?
Oh, when we were there, it was called the mining conference.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that was the second one we did.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of fun. It was a great time. That resort was incredible too.
Oh yeah, the Kalahari.
Yeah, very, very cool. Very, very cool. But
okay,
anyways.
Scott, last two sats for the audience out there. What's the last message you want to leave with our viewers?
Mine Bitcoin. Like we were saying, mining Bitcoin is a way to stack more sats faster and cheaper. So, take advantage of this. Obviously, in the next few months here, I think the end of April, beginning of May, there's going to be the Bitcoin reward halving taking place. So it's going to be almost like as if it's twice as hard to mine Bitcoin, but it's going to really make Bitcoin feel very scarce to people. And it could potentially create a lot of FOMO, which means price goes up. So mine Bitcoin, get into it. Check out this webinar down here. It's www.build-a-mine.com/simply. And I really appreciate being on the show today, guys.
Appreciate it, Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, if you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, share Bitcoin content, learn how to mine Bitcoin, just learn everything. Let's just buy Bitcoin books, buy Bitcoin miners, join boot camps, learn how to mine Bitcoin, share
Uncle
Bitcoin
Jim,
music,
family.
share pictures of Opti's memes and shorts. This is how we win. Anyways, guys, love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Scott, appreciate you joining us on the channel today. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Peace out.